Hi everyone, I'm Dr. John Palabiyik and thank you for tuning in. Today I'm with my friend and international business expert, Dr. Jorge Riveras. Today's discussion is part of a larger initiative tied to an upcoming faculty-led program, the Business Tourism and Immersion in Panama, happening in January 2026. In preparation for that exciting journey, we wanted to take a closer look at Panama's growing role in global business, international politics, and economic development. Through this conversation, our goal is to help guide students and broader audience, whether you are joining the trip or just interested in the world affairs, into understanding why Panama matters right now. These questions will also support our recording assignments and offer a glimpse into the kinds of topics you will encounter firsthand if you travel with us. This discussion couldn't come at a better time, with the recent shift in leadership in the United States and growing attention on strategic trade routes, including the Panama Canal. Panama Canal once again in the global spotlight. There's a renewed focus on how this small but powerful nation continues to influence international trade dynamics, particularly between the US and China. We are excited to dig deeper into these issues and explore what makes Panama such a critical and fascinating place to study right now. Let's start with our first question. Jorge, what key moments or developments have shaped Panama's relationship with the United States over the time?
Thank you for the invitation. Hello, welcome to our series of talks where we are, as you see, always discussing current issues that are happening the same week that we are discussing here. Yes, indeed, Panama is being on the news lately. But the Panama-United States relationship is nothing new. It's something that started many, many years ago. Actually, Panama was part of the Republic of Colombia, and they asked for independence. And actually, that independence actually was facilitated by the United States. The then President Teddy Roosevelt was the one with some soft power, the use of our military forces, basically forced Colombia to agree, and that was the way in which Panama got its independence. And through that, the government of the United States basically negotiated the construction and the control of the Panama Canal. So these started in 1903 when they raised to power, and the Panama Canal was completed in 1914. And then we got the control of that. But then this relationship kind of changed when the then late President Jimmy Carter signed an agreement with the general that was in charge of the government at the time, which was General Omar Torrijos. And then they signed an agreement, and in that agreement, they will basically transfer power from the United States to Panama at the end of 1999. And in the meantime, what happened after was also interesting. There was an election. It was didn't end up in naming a president. Then another general, Noriega, basically Manuel Noriega took over Panama as the leader of Panama. And then the United States accused him of certain crimes. And then President Ronald Reagan in 1989, in December 1989, basically ordered an invasion, a military invasion of Panama, with a lot of consequences, a lot of death, a lot of damage in infrastructure. And then they took Noriega out of power. And then based on that, the democracy was installed again. The candidate who has won the presidential election. And since that, then the Panama Canal has been transferred to Panama, and there was the one who was controlling. Obviously, it has been an ongoing strategic position of the United States in Panama to have some saying in the control. And now, obviously, we have heard how the current administration is heavily concerned, and it has mention things that they believe should happen with the transit of cargo of Panama. So it's a historical relationship what we have with Panama.
Well, it looks like there's a lot of political things are going on the last 100 years since they built the Panama Canal. But why is Panama often seen as an important player in global trade and international strategy?
Well, the fact that the physical distance between the Caribbean and side and the Pacific side was sort of short when you come into the territory of Panama, it was a perfect area where to build a canal. And that canal obviously will facilitate the transit of cargo through that, basically eliminating the need of going all the way down in South America in order to get through the Suez Canal or other ways to get to the United States, to the East Coast. So obviously, the Panama Canal as a whole facilitates about 5% of global trade and maritime trade. But in terms of the United States itself, we're talking about 74.7% of the canal cargo transportation is bound to the United States. So either the origin or the destination is the United States of 74%. And there's a big economic impact that the canal represents for Panama with $5 billion involved in that. So obviously, President Trump right now, he's basically suggesting that our cargo ships should not be paying or should be treated differently in terms of charges. And it's reigniting the debate of how much we control the Panama Canal, or if our cargo should be for free, because we represent 40% of the transit, and for us is 70% of the cargo. So that's why this is a major thing. There's going to be, or they're trying to generate competition for neighboring Nicaragua. Nicaragua is on the early stages of trying to create a canal as well to compete with Panama. Obviously, geographically and in terms of engineering, is a longer route to build a canal in Nicaragua. And obviously, the Panama Canal has the advantage because as a first mover, they're already there. And it was recently expanded in 2016, was expanded to basically able to handle a cargo that is rather large. Not the ultra large, but at least, the Panamex and other type of vessels.
Well, my understanding is like the canal is really important, like 5% in the global trade.
Yeah.
But the numbers you gave about for the U.S. is extremely important.
Yes.
So not only internationally, but for the U.S., there's a huge importance over there.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to put an example with China, okay? Most of the cargo that comes from China goes through the port of Los Angeles, shorter distance from, the port of Shanghai to Los Angeles. But if you have to go to New York and you want to avoid that, then you will go down the West Coast all the way Central America, and you enter to the Panama Canal, and then you can get to the port of New York. Yeah, it's a 21 days versus 15 days, longer route, but still smaller than if you go through the Horn end of the Argentina and Chile in South America and have to go to the Suez Canal.
Right. Well, like I said, there's a really impact on the U.S., but I'm guessing that there must be like influence in the region too. So how is Panama's location influence its role in the region's economy and infrastructure?
It's been heavy. It's been really, really impactful, the role of Panama. So let's throw some numbers and some views about Panama. Well, Panama, the location, this is a strategic. Panama, it's when you compare it to Venezuela. Okay, Venezuela was in the north of South America. It was a perfect port of entry to South America where you could distribute as a hub and spoke for airlines to start in Caracas and go through all the way in South America. But since all the political problems that Venezuela has been facing, since former President Chavez took over at the end of the 90s, then that whole situation changed and opened up an opportunity for Panama. Because of that, and the Panama Canal, there was a lot of brain drain of Venezuela and other countries to move into Panama. Panama accepted a lot of Venezuelan professional people in the areas of finance, putting new banking system, and Panama became a really, really, really important banking hub for the region. Right. Panama also works with the US dollar. That's their currency over there. Panama created a free trade zone, one of the largest free trade zones in Colón in the world. I have written some papers about free trade areas, and obviously Colón is one of the most important ones. But you also have the come to power ascendance to importance of Copa Airlines, the national airline in Panama. Copa Airlines have become one of the most efficient, on-time, look-after airline, not only in Central America, but in South America. If you start checking the statistics, the ratings, it's on top of the airlines, competing with the airlines of Chile and Argentina and Colombia. So you have the free trade zone, you have the connectivity with Copa Airlines. Copa Airlines right now has 86 destinations, and 32 countries in the Americas are using that. Only in the United States, they have connections to 16, 17 destinations in the United States. So it has really become a really big hub. So if you come from the United States, you make one stop in a really beautiful airport, Tocumen, and then you go all the way to South America. So it has become a really important regional center.
Right. Well, I also had another presentation like a week ago, and one of the professors showed us the development in the Panama, like compared to last 30, 40 years or 50 years. It's unbelievable.
Yes.
So it's a huge change.
It's amazing. I mean, you land in Panama and you see the skyline of the city, Panama City, and you feel like in New York or any other big city in the world, because it's amazingly beautiful. And as I said, it has become really a big, important business center in the region.
Right. And I noticed that some international global companies are settling there too, like new hotel chains, the convention centers, the cruise over there, the port and everything. It's really, it sounds like a trade center over there. But what factors have contributed to Panama's emergence as a destination for international finance, investment, and migration?
As we were saying, the location, the fact that you have the Panama Canal, it's been a big center of finance center. The use of the dollar, the American currency, makes it much easier. Very open-minded in terms of regulations, and the investment climate that you have made them a really important financial center. And the migration of capital, human capital that I was mentioning, you have multiple industries and companies and people that are setting their headquarters directly in Panama. It's simply convenient, and it's in terms of GDP per person. Although the GDP of Panama, we're talking about 86 billion. In terms of GDP per person, the Panama is on the top highest ranking of GDP per person in Latin America, which makes a really big impact if you are a citizen of Panama or you live in Panama, because you see that the purchasing power parity is right there with the GDP per person.
Right. I'm sure our students and our audience are really interested to hear what sectors are driving Panama's economy today, like how its country competing in the global market.
Well, I have some actual connections in Panama, and I know of important international global companies which has important regional offices over there. One of those is Procter & Gamble. And Procter & Gamble has, center of logistics and procurement located in Panama. We have, obviously, we discussed about the financial sector, airline, ports, transportation, cargo services, logistics. which constitute basically one of the main sectors of the economy of Panama is services. So so you have certain exports that you have in Panama, agricultural products and seafood, but basically it is really a hub for re-export, a hub for tourism. And basically, it has really a big competitive advantage that we see because of the logistics.
Well, it's really interesting to hear that all this impact in the business industry and global interaction. Now I understand why China is so much interested in this area. Before we close, I'm really interested to hear how much China and America, those two superpowers, are in Panama right now. What is the competition there?
Well, obviously, logistically and strategically is the place where the cargoes go through. China being an engine of exports, United States trying to get more into export, but is a recipient of product. And if 70% of the cargo in terms of volume is American and goes in and out from the United States, for us is critical. That's why the insistence of our government of being very careful about whom the Panamanian government gives rights to work and manage and deal with the Panama Canal. They see it as a strategic move, try to kind of stop the influence of China, or the involvement of China as another superpower against the interests of the United States. Obviously, we need to understand that Panama is a sovereign country. So what we consider our priority, it may not be the priority of the Panamanian government. So that's why these discussions are basically happening. We are waking up today to negotiations that are probably going to happen between China and the United States, and a change in tariffs. We saw on the news today that the president has now said that we're going to reduce the tariff to 80% from the 145, et cetera, et cetera. So we're seeing that that is opening, but obviously strategically both China and the United States want to have some level of control over the Panama Canal. Because it's strategic for trade.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Riveras. It was great to hear all this information. Thank you for joining us in this important conversation. We hope it sparked your curiosity, all of us, our audience and our students, and it helped us to see why Panama matters on the global stage. We look forward to continuing this journey, whether through the discussions or exploration, or maybe traveling together in January 2026. I hope to see you all there.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and I'm sure our students will have an excellent trip if they are able to join your course, and Dr. Ponce's course, and then they are able to go to Panama. And thank you for the invitation again.
Thank you. Bye.